Hey there guys, Matthew here from The Who Addicts, joined by Liv and Jacob as always for our review of Doctor Who Series 11 Episode 9, It Takes You Away.
Penultimate episode.
The penultimate episode of Series 11. Wow, can you believe that we're here already? Now, as always, if you do want to listen to this review on the go, search for The Who Addicts on your chosen podcast provider. You'll find us there. You can listen to us ramble on for as long as you like, wherever you like. So, It Takes You Away. Now, this episode, I think it's fair to say, was hyped quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And a lot of people sort of went with the hype and thought, yeah, this is going to be absolutely epic. A few others were sort of saying, whoa, let's calm down a little bit. Let's just keep grounded. Let's not get our hopes up, because if it isn't as good as we think, or it isn't as great as we think, we're ultimately going to not think it's too good when we watch it, if it's a bit of a letdown. So, for you guys, was this episode good? Did you like it, first of all? And was it overhyped?
On first watch, I definitely think it was overhyped, and I didn't really like it all that much. I could see where they were trying to go with it on first watch, but I don't know why, but I just didn't really get it, and it just wasn't my kind of episode to enjoy. But that might have changed on the rewatch, maybe.
Maybe. Keep his cards close to his chest. I'm going to leave Liv's reaction till last, because I think I think we all know where this is going.
Thanks.
I felt exactly the same. In the first watch, I couldn't get away with it. I didn't enjoy it.
Did it take you away?
Something took me away from the episode. I don't know what it was. I just sort of come out of it a bit like the Witchfinders. I sort of didn't feel anything. I was a bit like, okay, you know. Maybe it was due to my expectations being raised a little bit, and it being the penultimate episode. You expect something huge to lead into the finale.
Yeah.
And I just sort of thought, that was just there again. One scene did completely bewilder me, which we'll get to at the end.
It still does.
But on second watch, see, with the Witchfinders, I liked it a lot more. On rewatch for this, I liked it a little bit more. But I feel like that's only because I knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
On first watch,
Same.
a lot of things sort of threw me, and the episode was going from this direction to that direction. I was a bit like, well, where are we going, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. A second viewing for me definitely helped, but knowing what was to come kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that for now.
Liv.
Oh no.
Oh, I was left disappointed. Just because the penultimate episode, you'd think, oh, something good, something exciting to get your expectations raised more for the finale last week. And after first watch, I was furious at the episode, thinking, what the hell's this? This is not the penultimate episode story for me. There was no excitement, and there was no bloody villain. Where was the threat?
Yeah, dear. It's a common theme, isn't it? This series, there's never really been a threat.
No.
It's more like
all the monsters
story
in the
heavy.
woods. Oh wait, it's just an audio recording.
Because this episode started off well,
yes,
I thought.
Start off really well.
Because then I was creeped out a bit, I was intrigued, and then all of a sudden it was bear noises on a stereo. Wow. Wow.
I have to share Liv's opinion on the start. I think the first 10 to 15 minutes were really good. And I think the problem with... Well, it's not the problem. It's like, with obviously Series 11 Doctor Who, Chris Chibnall Doctor Who, we go into the episodes a lot more in the dark.
Yeah.
We don't really know much at all, which is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because you don't know what's going on, you're constantly trying to figure out what the episode's about, who the villain is, and where we're going. So in the first 10 to 15 minutes, we had a creepy house in the middle of nowhere, deserted. There was a creepy noise, a creepy monster circling the house in the woods. And I honestly was creeped out. I was on the edge of my seat. You know, there were bear traps there. You know, who the hell's hunting Dad? Where's her dad gone? And I that was the episode that I'd sort of in my head I thought we were getting.
Yeah,
and I
and
instantly
from
thought,
the
this is
trailer,
good.
you kind of get the assumption that it's going to be quite a creepy story.
Yeah.
Very creepy. And then, yeah, when the stereo was found and it was discovered that there wasn't actually a monster outside, and it was built up very well, must I say. The music and everything was amazing.
Very well.
When I discovered that it actually wasn't that, there was a big part of me that was a bit like, oh, you know, as much as we might be going in this direction, I was sort of looking forward to sticking with this direction.
Yeah, and I'm all for kind of misdirection and, oh, is it this, is it that? Because we've had that quite a lot in the series, but I feel like this episode particularly, it went a bit too far, leading us in one direction, and then suddenly flipping it on its head and forgetting all of the creepy monster stuff. I think they went a bit too far with that.
What gets me, that every episode this series has been kind of similar. So there's no threat whatsoever and no danger. I always say the first couple of episodes was no danger. Okay, that's fine. But at the same time, we are at the penultimate episode right before the finale, and we get a fucking frog.
Yeah, we'll get to the frog. Don't worry about that. We'll certainly get to the frog. So yeah. The episode went off into this different direction, which we'll obviously get to, but we did meet Hannah, who was, of course, a blind girl who was tricked into staying in this house by her father, tricked into believing that there was this creature outside. It kept her there from wandering off into the woods or whatever, where there were bears and stuff like that. And I thought Ellie Warlock put in an incredible performance.
I agree.
I thought she was absolutely brilliant.
She was.
You know, obviously we don't want to go into the fact that she's blind too much, but obviously it must make acting, learning lines, portraying emotion a little bit more difficult. But she was better than some of the other side casts, much better than some other side casts we've had in other episodes.
I agree.
She made Prem look like a plank of wood.
God.
So, yeah. What do you think, Jake? 'Cause I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah,
I really
props
did.
to her. I think she did really well.
Yeah, she was a great side character, really likeable. She had that vulnerability about her, so you instantly want to sort of protect her.
And her Norwegian accent was spot on.
So, anyway, we went off into this different direction, which involved us entering the anti-zone, where we met a character whose name I can't remember. That says quite a bit about it. But what did you guys think of us heading into the anti-zone, being confronted by this guy, these flesh-eating moths? What did you think about that?
It was a very strange direction that I didn't really see coming. Like when they went into that mirror, I kind of thought that they'd go into this different world immediately, but they had this anti-zone in the middle, which I wasn't expecting. But it was quite creepy with the whole moths and everything. I just don't know what I feel about that weird alien guy.
Was his name Rufus?
No,
Rufus?
it's Ribbon.
Ribbon.
That's
Ribbons.
the one. Ribbons, yeah. I was a bit unsure about the anti-zone. I mean, it was a clever idea, you know, keeping these two different worlds apart from each other. It made sense in the episode, but I don't know, I just felt like it was there to fill up time a little bit. I thought the moths were, you know, a nice little vicious threat. The only threat we had in the episode, so I'll take it. But yeah, Ribbons, he didn't do anything for me. I thought he was a bit weird. Generic. He didn't really do anything in the story, did he, apart from get eaten by moths? So as much as it was a good idea, I sort of felt as if it was just to sort of keep the episode ticking for 10-15 minutes, and I was...
Fillerish, I thought of it.
Yeah.
Fillerish.
I was starting to sort of want the episode to pick up and move on towards the end of that section, if that makes sense. So, yeah, the anti-zone, would we all agree that it was good in what it did, but it didn't
wasn't
really offer
anything
much.
amazing. I mean, all the design of him looked alright and good, but just the actual purpose of why he was there seemed a bit unnecessary. Kind of got in the way of the plot a little bit.
I agree with the fact that he looked great, and I guess the guy's performance who performed him was very good. But I just don't see what impact he really had in the story.
Really.
Yeah. Obviously, we got onto the other side of the anti-zone, and we discovered that we were in the same place but a different universe, a different dimension. And I sort of thought it was a good idea. Yeah, I wasn't sure on where the episode was going at this point, but one little thing that I did like was how they swapped the screen over.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice, subtle touch.
Yeah.
To portray that they were obviously inside a mirror in this different universe, which I thought was, it was a nice little subtle touch. And yeah, it was an interesting direction for the episode to take, but I was certainly intrigued by the swapping of the universes and meeting obviously these other characters.
Well, I'm just glad it wasn't another parallel universe type thing. It was something a bit more new.
Because at first watch, this scene just baffled me a lot, thinking, well...
Yeah, I think it suddenly got very full on very quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, we were thrown into this different scenario and a lot of things needed to be explained quite quickly. A big part of this universe, obviously, we discover that this is where Eric has been all this time, and the reason for that is because he has reunited with his dead wife. We also, and I don't think any of us seen this coming, we met Grace again. Yeah. Now, I'm really intrigued to see what you guys think of this, because for me, it was a bit of a double-ended sword, because I thought that bringing her back, it gave us a lot of lovely scenes with Graham, and it put Graham's character in an interesting position, obviously having to decide between the real world and that world. So I thought there were some lovely scenes between him and Grace, but I felt like it was all over very quickly, and I don't feel like they made the most of the emotion that they could have had. They could have really drawn out the emotion. They could have really made it seem like the stakes were high. You can stay with her, you can live your life with Grace, but if you don't, and if you stay there, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to come back with us. And I just felt like there was a few nice scenes with them, but it was over very, very quickly, and I don't think they made the most of that dilemma that Graham was in. It was just sort of over very quickly. He decided very quickly what he wanted to do, and yeah, I don't think they made the most of it at all. I think they could have maybe took some time out of the scenes in the anti-zone and really put some more time and effort into this dilemma that Graham was faced with. And because it was over very quickly, and I don't think they made the most of Grace coming back, I kind of wish they'd not bothered doing it at all, because I feel like it takes something away from them wonderful scenes in Arachnids, and obviously her emotional death in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So what did you guys think of her coming back? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
Well, when I first saw Grace, I was like, oh no, and then I remembered it's not Stephen Moffat. So I knew that she wasn't here to stay, thank God. But yeah, I think some more time would have done it well, and I think I was surprised by how the others didn't really react a huge amount. Like, I expected the Doctor and Yaz to maybe give a bit more of a kind of shock seeing Grace. Like, obviously they weren't as close as Graham was, but it's a familiar face, and especially Yaz would be like, what the hell's going on here? So yeah, I definitely think to have some more time exploring this rather than all of the fillering kind of stuff in the anti-zone would have been a better option.
Oh, this is hard for me, because I loved Grace's character in the first episode, and then there's all them lovely scenes in Arachnids. There was Graham going home to that empty house, was her memory just appearing, but I found bringing her back very a Moffat thing to do. Like, as all this has been done kind of before. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I completely see what you mean. And one of the biggest problems I had with this whole dilemma was the Doctor's reaction to it, exactly like what Jacob said.
Yeah.
I think the idea of tempting Eric and, trying to tempt Hunter, and, that's what the solid track feeds off, tries to trick you into thinking that these people are real, it keeps you there. And, that's a good idea, but the way that the Doctor instantly just didn't believe it, and wasn't tricked by it, and the way that Yaz instantly wasn't tricked by it, it just, what I think this dilemma should be, the way that they should write this sort of, plot point into the episode, they should really put the viewer in that dilemma. They should put us in that position. Is it real? Is it not? Happening? Yeah, and there was not one point where I thought that Grace was real.
No.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was, or part of the reason for that, one was because we didn't really spend much time there and explore it enough. And the other was that the Doctor instantly didn't believe it. You know, even...
Not for a second.
You can argue that the Doctor's clever, but even Yaz instantly didn't believe it. And I would just liked the Doctor and Yaz to have just been caught up in this dilemma and to have maybe thought, actually, you know, this could be real.
Yeah.
And then we might have thought, damn it, this might be real. But because I didn't, and I knew that Grace wasn't real, it sort of made the whole thing, it sort of drained the emotion out of the whole thing. And
you're like, it's definitely not real anyway. Do you think a better way of doing it would have been to have Grace be the other side of the mirror when they went through the portal? So as soon as they went through, they're just greeted by Grace just standing there.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Instead of going via Eric and his wife, start off with Grace and be like, why is Grace here? How can you be here?
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
just to give it a bit more realism.
Yeah, realism, exactly. That's the
because
key
they already
word,
established that it wasn't real because obviously Eric's wife was there. Whereas if it started with Grace, which is a character that we all know and love, it would have maybe given it some more emotion.
That's true, yeah. That's very
but
true.
with all these things going on, what was the actual threat for the Doctor and the companions? What was it?
There wasn't really a threat. The threat was that they would get tricked into believing that these people were real and that they'd stayed there. But obviously, like we've just said, there wasn't one point where I believed that they were real. You know, and the whole point of that section of the episode was to put the viewer in the same position as Graham, who, you know, Bradley Walsh portrayed them and played them scenes unbelievably well. I must say, this is not down to him not, you know, being emotional or showing the right emotion that anyone would feel in that position. Obviously, if anyone's faced with, you know, their dead wife, they're going to be, you know, completely caught up with it. You know, it's nothing to do with Bradley Walsh. He was probably the only person who was making it slightly believable.
Yeah.
But because the others didn't, and like Jacob's rightfully mentioned, we'd already seen Eric's wife first, it was like that dilemma, that decision when the betrayal was already gone. It was already decided before we'd even seen Grace. So I think they could have really made a lot more of that. And because they didn't, I feel like Grace's return was a little bit wasted.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, we were then dragged into...
Christ.
I'm not getting to the frog yet, don't worry.
Oh, God.
But there was a very, very long descriptive exposition scene where the Doctor described the Solitract. Now, again, a bit like the Anti-Zone, it was a good idea, but it just threw me off that little bit more. When she was trying to describe what the Solitract is, this story that she was told... it's this consciousness that's trying to throw these two universes, whatever it was that she was saying. And I was just sat there thinking, where are we going? What is this? Why is this being added? It was just like more context just added and more exposition added on top of the episode that I don't think needed to be there.
Because I found this a lot, this series, like, was just far too many so over-explained scenes that will trail you off.
They seem to spend so much time explaining stuff that it slowly puts you off. I think that's the issue. Yeah,
I mean, let's jump into characters a little bit. Let's tease the viewers and not talk about Kermit the Frog just yet.
God.
Let's quickly talk about the Doctor this week. Let's get the characters and the Doctor and the companions out of the way. I thought the Doctor was good.
Yeah.
But I think we maybe dropped back and dipped slightly back into the Sonic being overused a lot.
Far too
and
much again.
The Doctor over-explaining a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, so I find that there was these like serious scenes, and then all of a sudden these there she was turning away, and then was then acting quite silly again. I found.
The Doctor this week, I think, again the Sonic is a bit too much for me, and she even admitted it herself, saying, "Oh, I love my Sonic."
Never true a word said, yeah.
It's like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But I think she did have some nice scenes this week, particularly at the end, despite the whole situation of it all. Her, like, the way that she was describing, like, the universes and whatever. I think she had some nice nice descriptions. But yeah, I think, as we were saying before, the whole over description of everything is also a bit unnecessary. But then there's a thing, is it if things weren't explained, everyone would want more answers. So it's quite a difficult situation of getting a balance, I guess.
Yeah, it is, because at the start of the series there was a lot of over explaining, and the excuse was that new viewers are on board, we need to obviously breed, slowly sort of breed them into the series. So, and now you get the point where do these things really need to be over explained? But at the same time, yeah, the episode is, it's so many things going on and so many things happening and being added to the plot, you do sort of need to explain these things, but at the same time, the way that they're being explained is, yeah, it's a little bit long and a little bit, it's just sort of drawn out. I mean, another tweet I saw was, I think I put a tweet asking how people would define the 13th Doctor, and someone said that they found that the likes of 9, 10, 11 and 12 could describe something to you in a really quick, simple way that was fun and it got the message across. But it feels like with 13, she's having to give you a teaching lesson on it, where she's talking you through every single part of it, and you're just sort of like, right, okay, I get it, just, yeah. It's a difficult one, because I can imagine for new viewers it's great, but for like us hardcore viewers who can get things a lot quicker, we're a bit like, come on, don't talk to us like we're idiots. So
yeah, move on kind of thing.
Yeah, but she had some incredible scenes this week as well. The little scene with Yaz where Yaz said, "Can we reverse the polarity?" and the Doctor was like, "You speak my language." That was nice. And she also had that scene where she was talking to Eric's wife, where she said, "I've seen more, lived more."
That was good. That scene.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's another scene I really liked.
So I thought that she had some really good scenes, but just sort of dipped back into the over-explaining of things a little bit too much. What about the TARDIS team then? What did you think of them? Oh, I wasn't expecting a bit of a low-pitched I was expecting a higher-pitched
Well, I thought they kind of established a balance before, but it seems like they're going backwards, and I don't know, Yaz and Ryan, I don't know, I just think I've come to the kind of conclusion that having 3 companions, friends, side characters, whatever you want to call them, is just a bit too much for me.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to get an equal share of like screen time and script times for all of them to have something to do. And especially Yaz, I thought we were going in a direction where Yaz had more to do, but even then, yes, she might have said about reversing the polarity and whatever, but it does feel like they're struggling to have something to do all the time. But obviously, they're all really good characters, and Graham especially is incredible.
I mean, I thought Graham, as I said earlier,
as always,
stole the show again.
As always, though.
Incredible performance from him once again. I thought Ryan had some really nice scenes with Hunter.
Yeah.
I thought there was a nice little dynamic going on there. Obviously, we might as well talk about the end scene as well.
Or calling him Grandad. Oh, Graham's little face just like kind of just like lit up, and I was like, "Oh, Graham! Yes, he's finally been accepted."
I loved that scene.
I did.
It just felt like, and that's why character development is so important. For the whole series, Graham's been trying to get on side with Ryan. He's just been through this. For him, it was an emotional time seeing Grace again. He's obviously, struggling a little bit, and then he sort of gives him the nudge and just says Grandad.
I love that.
It's Bradley Walsh's, his facial expression instantly goes from sadness to sort of like, oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
So that scene was amazing. But yeah, them two I thought had nice little parts to play. Yaz though, yeah, I agree. She was just sort of on the side again. She has nice little lines here and there, but the problem I'm having is if you take her out of the episode, does it make too much of a difference? I don't know. I like her. I do like her, but I can't defend her really.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I like the characters. It's just difficult to give them all the same kind of level of screen time and attention.
The hardest thing is with Yaz is because there's Graham and Ryan. They're just kind of related in a way, and automatically, so as a viewer, you're getting them much more than Yaz.
kind of associate them together. They've got a bond
Yeah.
that's kind of already established, and then Yaz is there, and I'm guessing they're trying to link Yaz to the Doctor, but obviously the Doctor and Yaz, and the Doctor and any companion are very different characters that don't really, like, they're not really compatible to be on the same level.
Let's just hope that she... And I've said this so many times. Let's just hope next week, in the finale, you know, it's the finale for God's sake. The stakes have got to be raised. They've all got to be doing something huge that saves the universe, you know.
A threatening villain is all I am wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, they've all got to play their part because the stakes should be so high that they all simply have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, here we go.
So, all of the characters had obviously realised that their, you know, said dead relatives or, you know, former wives or whatever were not real. So Graham gets shot out, Hunter gets shot out, Eric gets shot out, Yaz gets shot out. The Solitract has failed. So the Doctor then must face the Solitract. She said, I can offer you everything. So she speaks to the consciousness of the Solitract. This being that has forged these two universes and is trying to force them together, trying to trick these people. The Doctor is faced with this consciousness. Who is behind it?
Which, as a concept, I agree with.
Yes.
And like that whole thing, as you've explained it so far, is brilliant, and I love the idea.
Yes.
It's what comes next that throws me off.
Who is this being that she is faced with? Kermit the flipping frog. Liv, take it away.
Take it away, Liv.
It was just pathetic. I took one look at that and I was so angry, thinking, who the hell written this? Why would you put this episode as was the penultimate episode before the finale with a frog?
They should have left it on a cliffhanger. It should have just been left with the Doctor and a frog. Tune in next week to see what happens.
And was also what left me was so bloody annoyed. So it was that scene from the trailer that we were all guessing, thinking,
Something's major is going to happen here.
Something dramatic's going to happen. She's blowing a kiss to a frog. A frog.
No, she's blowing a kiss to the Solitract thing.
Yes, it's the consciousness, Liv, of the universe or whatever.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
Yeah, next week.
And
guest star Miss Piggy.
Oh, God.
And the frog obviously had the voice of Grace.
Oh no, that of course
Oh,
it
God.
did.
Just to add insult to injury.
That just made it worse. Honestly, it did just make it worse. Like, come on.
It was possibly the silliest thing I've ever seen. And there's been people defending it. Doctor Who's meant to be silly.
I know.
But
I've seen.
It was perfect.
It's not the fact that it... Well, it sort of is the fact that it's a frog. But, you know, we have had silly things in Doctor Who, but in the right context. The Anchors worked in Partners in Crime, them sort of things. You know... no, I'm not even going to... The ting didn't work.
I was going to say, hang on. Hang on a minute.
But, you know,
Ting.
this has been built up to be this extreme... I mean, it must be a powerful being to be doing these things. The Doctor was told stories about it as a kid. And it was a frog that looked silly.
Oh.
Its mouth and its movements looked terrible. And it had the voice of Grace.
Oh.
How on earth are we meant to see that as believable? How are we meant to get behind that? Like, emotionally get behind that and go, oh my goodness.
I love the frog.
Like, what reaction were they expecting?
I honestly don't know what they're thinking. I've got a question. So I've seen on Twitter, I can't remember, I think it was a couple of people that I've seen mention it. So obviously the universe like showed Grace and Eric's wife, whatever her name was, because they were, you know, close to them or whatever. What if instead of the frog it was, I don't know, River Song? What would you have thought about that?
Fan service for River. River definitely fan service. I'd have mixed it up and had somebody else. I know a lot of people have said Susan, but I would think a Susan cameo would be wasted in that moment.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been right for that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, to be fair, every time anyone's rumoured to be coming back nowadays, it's Susan or Captain Jack.
Yeah, what if it's Captain Jack instead of the frog?
that.
I don't know, because I still don't feel like that little 5-minute scene would be worth the return of any of them.
No, I don't.
No.
Maybe if it was not even like a former Doctor, like a former Face or anything like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Any other animals that you would have preferred to have seen? A rabbit, maybe? Bella could have got a appearance
yes, Bella would have been much better.
Yeah.
Maybe a former companion.
in. Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded if it was Rose or Donna or Martha. You know, or
Not Clara?
No, definitely.
Never Clara.
I just feel like maybe a companion that the Doctor might feel a little bit of guilt towards. Just not River. Definitely not River. That's asking for fan service and fangirls to go mental. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest, but definitely not a frickin' frog. I mean, it just took you out of the entire moment.
Yeah.
The entire episode just fell flat on its face at that moment. And I was just like,
any
what?
seriousness that I felt towards it had just literally gone in an instant.
Yeah. It just bewilders me as to why they made that decision. So, I think we've covered the lot. So, I'm really, really intrigued as to see what we all rate this one. So, who wants to go first with their little conclusion and rating out of 10?
I think Liv should go first
Oh.
to get us over and done with.
Yes.
Well, I am struggling with my rating because this rating does keep swapping and changing between 2. Oof. Because the beginning was good, that kept me going, and then it stopped, and then it trailed out, and then I got bored, and then the frog happened, which I've
happened.
mentioned a lot.
Kermit happened.
But that I've been banging on about all of while recording this, because I just feel disappointed for ever having this sort of story before a finale type of thing. To keep you going, I'd say that you're needing a threat or
A cliffhanger.
Yeah, a cliffhanger or like a villain that just like really could intrigue you. This is a 4. It's a 4. I'm going with a 4. Same as last week.
Okay.
Should I go next?
Yeah, you go next.
I feel like this episode was slightly overhyped.
Oh yeah.
And I do feel like it was full of really great ideas, but I don't think they were executed as well as they should have been. I feel like the episode started off really well, but I think it took the wrong direction. I think we all got our hopes up and were really excited for maybe a really serious, creepy threat.
Yeah.
And when it didn't come to that, it was something we've craved all series. We thought we were getting it, but once again, we weren't. So that was just a little bit of more added disappointment when the episode sort of took that other direction. Like I said, the anti-zone was a good idea. The mirrored universe was a good idea. But I feel like we spent too much time in the anti-zone when we should have been spending it more where it mattered in the mirrored universe. I felt like they didn't make the most of the emotion, the dilemma that Graham and the other characters were going through with Grace. I didn't really at any point believe that she was real, and that was mostly down to the way the Doctor and Yaz dismissed it completely.
Yeah.
And the fact that we obviously met Eric's wife first. Although obviously Bradley Walsh put in an incredible performance in them scenes to try and make them believable. The Doctor was good, not at her best, and overall the companions were all good except Yaz, who just sort of was to the side once again. And yeah, again, the ending, it was a good idea, it set everything up nicely, but it was badly executed by a flipping frog appearing for some flipping reason. So yeah, I'm disappointed because this episode could have been amazing, and I can see why some people do think it's amazing, but for me personally, a lot of great ideas went astray in this one, so I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Alright.
6.5. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I basically agree with both of you. I definitely think that having this as a penultimate episode of the series was probably not the best decision. I think actually some of the episodes we've had early in the series would have been better than this episode. I think that, like Matthew said, there was a lot of concepts in this episode that I like the sound of, but I just don't think that they were done as well as they could have been, which is a shame, because I think lots of these things that I'd like to see about on screen aren't going to be included again in an episode, because obviously it's happened in this episode. So this was their chance to get something like this right, and I don't think it went as right as it could have been. In terms of characters, I thought the supporting cast were actually really well. I think, again, the companions were a bit into the background, but Graham, obviously on top form again, and Ryan seemed to have a bit more to do this week. And then, obviously, at the end, the frog, which just puts me off this episode quite a bit. So I think I'm going to give it a 5.5.
Ooh. Interesting. So, I might change my... I don't know. I was really torn between a 6 and a 6.5.
Well, you said 6.5 now, so...
You know what? For the frog, I'm going down to a 6, because the frog infuriates me. I'm going to a 6.
The frog has knocked it down a whole 0.5.
I can't accept a frog like that.
There with me was a 4.
I just can't accept... Right, I'm going to 6. 6 out of 10. Yeah. Good God, I'm getting generous with age.
You are getting, like, the generous one. More than you used to be.
Well, we'll see what happens next week. You know what I'm like with finales.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Oh, they go one way or the other.
The return of the frog.
Pating teams with
And
the frog.
Pating.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, God.
Anyway, that's our review of It Takes You Away. Do like this video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, or like and subscribe to whatever podcast provider that you may be listening to this video or podcast or review on. Comment below, especially what you thought of this episode, and if you agree with us, what you give it out of 10. And if you want to follow us across all the social medias, you can go to our website, find all the links there. You can donate to us on Patreon if you want to be generous. And we'll be back next week for the finale, which title I can't remember because it's a very strange one.
Same.
But, let's just hope that the stakes are raised, there is a massive threat, things are on the line, the Doctor is in pieces.
I mean,
what she's
my
got to
expectations are pretty much on the floor at this point for the finale, just so that I'm really blown away by it. I don't want to get my expectations up at all, because I did it for this episode and it let me down.
I agree, yeah, and just by the way that this series has been and how episodes are written, I'm not expecting something unbelievably mental and
Me neither.
Something to a great scale, although I would love that. So if we get that, I'm going to be surprised.
Me too.
But yeah, we'll see. Let's see what happens next week.
Indeed.
So until then, thank you very much for listening to this review. We will see you next time.